All right, well, this is a big deal today, the big first drop of the Epstein Files. But is it big enough? Maybe not. And it looks like the government still, the swamp, the deep state, holding stuff back from us. We're tackling it here. People are all over the place, including Peter Schweizer, president of the Government Accountability Institute, #1 best-selling author, most recently of BloodMoney, and host of the Drilldown podcast. Peter Schweizer, you got it all going on. Welcome back. What do you make so far of this stack of documents from the White House and DOJ?
As it relates to Jeffrey Epstein, frankly, kind of an underwhelming joke. Look, we've had his contact list before. We've had his flight logs before. They just tell you who flew on his plane. There's far more detailed information that we know that DOJ has. We know, for example, that they recovered a lot of tapes from the island. We've never been told what's on that island. We also know that Jeffrey Epstein's banker, a guy who was at J.P. Morgan and then went to Barclays in London, we know a couple of years ago that in a court case that there were communications released of Epstein and the banker talking ostensibly about young women. Has he been questioned, subpoenaed by the Department of Justice? No. So, come on, let's stop pretending and creating media events that we're doing something when actually what we're doing is quite meaningless.
Right, and I guess we can't blame the Trump White House. It looks like to me Pam Bondi sent a letter to Kash Patel, and they realized at the 11th hour, wait a second, we've been kind of screwed over here. I think they're accusing the SDNY of holding back. There's a lot of words on that thing, hard for me to figure out. But that the Southern District of New York has more documents. They prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell. They're out there. Look, we know that the swamp is resistant to the Trump administration, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this is coming from the bowels of the bureaucracy. There are going to be FBI files. There's going to be DOJ records. But look, this is what the Trump team is there for. So I have a lot of confidence in Pam Bondi. I think she's going to dig deep, and there's going to be some trench warfare there. But this is precisely the kind of information that people expect from the administration. And I think it's the kind of battles we're going to have going forward on the JFK files and other material. There's a reason that these secrets have been kept for this long. I'm not saying that there's going to be earth-shattering information in every one of them. But the automatic tendency of the bureaucracy is to censor and control information. And the Trump administration, the DOJ leadership says they want to change that, which I think is a great thing.
Can I ask you this, just overall, do you have a theory about, we need a lot more facts, but do you have a theory about what the whole thing was with Epstein? Was he working for the CIA? Was he working for how did he pull all this stuff, the great wealth, the high-level contacts? Was it just that he provided young girls? And, what do you think it was all about?
Yeah, it's largely theorizing, but look, clearly he was a mathematical genius and prodigy. I think he was probably a good investment advisor, but he developed relationships and, let's say, roped in certain investors with leverage, and that leverage was he provided them with girls, and the evidence is pretty clear that they taped those encounters. And so that's why I think, widely reported that they procured a lot of tapes from the island and a lot of material. And that's the sort of information. I'm not saying release horrific records, but I'm saying that's precisely the sort of information they ought to be drilling down on. And we know for a fact that very powerful people were friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and friendship with Jeffrey Epstein oftentimes could get you entangled in all sorts of things. So that's, I think, why we're running into this resistance.
Peter, stand by for a moment. Elon Musk in the Oval Office not too long ago talking about what is needed to fix everything basically in government, especially the budget and peeling away all this waste. C04, please, to the control room. C04.
At a high level, you say, what are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1 trillion? And it's really two things: competence and caring. And if you add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half.
I thought that was very interesting, but you know this stuff so well. What do you think of his efforts overall, that statement? How are you with DOGE?
Well, I think he's doing a great job in a short period of time. The proof is going to be 6 months from now, right? There's been a lot of revelations. There's been a lot of low-hanging fruit. I think Elon Musk is doing a great job. I think if he thinks that's the sum total of how to fix this, I think it's a wonderful reflection of a guy that's as brilliant as he is, that maybe has a little bit of naivete. The problem is this is a business. This is an industry. The growth of government is not just ideological. It's not just incompetence. It's not just not caring. There are people that make a fortune off of this business and industry, and they don't want it to go away. And they basically launder money. So, you have people that are in government positions right now. It doesn't matter if they're a Democrat or Republican. They want to perpetuate their career when they leave government. So what do? They spend money. They offer grants. They give favors and set-asides to people because they know it's going to enhance their own prospects going forward. So you have to break the cycle of how Washington works. And I'm a firm believer in human nature. It's my Judeo-Christian view that we are fallen when you have concentrated power, when you don't have transparency. People are oftentimes going to do bad things, even if they're well-intentioned, because that's our nature. So it's a lot more complicated than Elon says, but I think what he's doing is tremendous. He has done more in 30 years that the Reagan administration did in 8 years, and that is saying something.
Wow. It's interesting. It's our nature. It's our nature. Even for those with Judeo-Christian values and practicing, it's still our nature. How about for folks who are kind of have blown off God and, are just living for themselves? And God, unfortunately, has been so minimized in the public square. It's something else that President Trump is fighting to bring back. And, well, Peter, thank you very, very much. Great to see you. Go to thedrilldown.com, thedrilldown.com, for an awesome podcast. And to be continued, sir.
Thanks, Greg. Always great to see you.